Hello, it's Damien. Decided to post another video just talking about my process right now and what's going on. Right now I'm going through an extremely difficult time integrating with some core inner child parts. These are core wounds about 2 to 3 years old, and of course there are children attached to them who are extremely light and bright spirited little ones inside who I'm very, very proud to have part of my system, but their wounds are unfathomably painful to heal. I can feel the pain in my heart. It is a deep, soul-wrenching pain. I've been sick all day, having a really hard time eating food. I found myself drinking a lot of soda, just trying to get something in my stomach, calm myself down, which I wasn't able to keep down. And it's always upsetting and triggering for us when we have to throw up because we used to binge and purge. But it wasn't like that today. We were genuinely ill. Right now we're trying to give a lot of love to these parts, tell these little ones inside that it's going to be okay. We took them to the library to play an online game that we promised them in exchange for letting us take care of ourselves physically in a way that they weren't letting us take care of ourselves. But it took us forever to get there because we kept spiraling in and out of parts in co-consciousness with all these destructive parts from Lilith. By destructive, I mean really inwardly facing, neurotic, compulsive type personalities, nothing too extreme, but parts that are so driven by anxiety and, like I said, inward facing. It's like they're not narcissistic, but they can't really connect with other people on their own without co-consciousness. It was really painful to be engulfed by them. They would go on and on about things they were anxious about to our partner, and then parts kept coming out and compulsively apologizing to him. It's something we tend to do often, but today it was worse. We just kept spiraling in and out of shame and compulsive talking and reliving trauma, and finally we're able to get to the library to play this game with these parts, but they were so triggered and frightened by the whole thing as they were newly integrating. It was all just a mess. And so right now I think what the issue is that we're doing this core integration where parts from Damien, Lilith, Katie, and Sai are all coming together. And I think what's happening is that we're gearing up to open up to a new level of our system. So far we've only been aware of these 4 core parts, and Katie alluded to the idea, I think it was her in a previous recent video, got tripped up there, in a previous recent video of ours, that we think there are more parts, more layers. And we're afraid of whatever's coming next, but we think it's actually good. So what's happening is that our parts are going through massive internal upheavals, drastically shifting. It's kind of like a grand finale integration between these 4 core parts, and then new parts are going to come forward. So what we're thinking, the intuition we have, as we're on the brink of this, the connection we're making with these new parts tells us that these are parts that our programmers didn't know about, that we've kept hidden. And so it scares us to even say that on camera, something we're going to post, but we think it should be obvious by now to anyone who programmed us that we have more inside than they could see. We've made it clear that we hid a lot of ourselves, and we learned to undercut our programming as it was installed so that we could preserve parts of our psyche without our programmer's knowledge. So it's nothing new, but it scares us because we are on the brink of this and we don't want anything to sabotage it or anyone. We love ourselves very dearly, and we knew this day would come. Eventually we would have to integrate with core parts of ourselves that we've hid from the world, from the people who so meticulously mapped our systems to try and figure it all out, that there is more to us than what they think there was or is, and we have to go into it, and that makes us vulnerable. But we believe that also gives us a tremendous amount of strength. I just realized the camera was lopsided. I'm new to making videos. I don't think very easily about it. We think it gives us strength, the idea of coming in contact with new parts. So we have a lot of anxiety. We're switching now all of a sudden. Someone wants to say something. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm kind of a hybrid part of Damien and Katie right now because we're integrating and it feels absolutely bizarre. And I just wanted to say that we're finding that particular part of Damien is repeating himself a lot, and so we're trying to switch into a new part that can say something, talk less repetitively. So I'm kind of an in-between. Like I said, Damien and Katie. It's weird. It is so weird. We're looking at ourselves in the camera and we see both Damien and Katie and we feel like both, and now we kind of feel like neither, and now we're starting to feel like Psy. You know, like I think Damien said earlier in this, the other part of him we were talking from, we're going through this grand finale where these core parts are coming together. So I kind of think that might be why we made that video introducing them. It was like we wanted to preserve their record or something before they all went away. But integration is not a loss, it's a gain. The parts definitely have attachment to who they are in their separate selves, and it can be hard to integrate, and we do have to grieve sometimes the loss of parts. We recently finally integrated a part, a former host self who was our host for 4 years when we were a teenager, ages 14 to 18, and it was tremendously healing but also sad. We watched this part fade for a long time. Since we got into recovery, he faded until finally the last little bit of him integrated, and that's it. And it's amazing, but it can hurt. When I'm particularly attached to a part, it can hurt. So we are afraid to let go, but we think it's time. So I think we're going to do that now. I think that's what's happening now. On camera as we speak, we are going to let go of our 4 parts that we have considered our core and open up to a deeper layer. Hi, let me just switch it again. I am a system representative for the dissociative layer underneath the Psy-Damien-Katie Lilith system. The Psy-Damien-Lilith-Katie system constitutes about 200,000 alters with exponentially fragmented parts. So those alters are in exponential systems, meaning their number of parts is astronomically large. They still have a lot of fragments, but we're melting down their sense of separate selves, and now they're going to enter our system, which is kind of how we have to heal. We have a system for doing this in layers. And yeah, I'm new to talking. I have never spoken before in my life, but I have been practicing for this for a long time. So I'm kind of scared. I'm scared of the camera. I don't really know what cameras are. So I'm going to go now, but I think we're going to make another video and we're going to talk more in depth, and I'm going to send forward some parts who can talk about this new change. Okay, thanks.